Hello and welcome to Rejuvenate School Culture. Thank you for joining our channel. I hope that you have subscribed and that you've clicked the bell notification so that you are aware of new material and new content as we share. I am really excited to continue our conversation about school culture. So in the last session, we talked through defining school culture, right? The values, the rituals, the beliefs that determine and help to really guide the action steps of the members of the stakeholders. Stakeholders being the students, staff members, families, and the greater community. Our why as to why this is important is because it's connected to teaching and learning. It really helps you to see the lens as to how people are moving towards the space of instruction. What do they believe about the culture of teaching and learning? What do they value? What do they hold on to? As a school leader, at the end of everything, our goal is to promote excellence, to show growth, to stretch our children so that they have the world at their fingertips, right? And so in terms of building a school culture that allows for students to grow, to be celebrated, to engage the community in building a space where we are continuously looking at our student performance, we are celebrating our student performance, we are building an energy that allows for us to really tap into being strategic, being intentional, and using data to inform what we do next. Today's session, we'll talk about school culture and the way that we identify school culture. What are the characteristics of the different types of school cultures that exist? The types that I typically hear in my 19 years of experience is positive school culture, and then we have negative school culture. I know that there's a myriad of ways that we can describe school culture, and I invite you to share the different ways in which you've described school culture or have heard culture described in your experiences. Please make sure that you share that in the comments below. But we're going to talk about a good school culture or a positive school culture and a negative school culture, and what some of the characteristics are in both of those examples. To start off, what I've heard in my experience as it relates to a positive school culture is that it is a space where the community members really feel heard, they feel valued, they feel motivated to build and respond to problems as they come up. So notice, positive school culture does not mean that negative things don't happen or that problems don't occur. It's the mindset that really determines how you are viewing the problems and how you're responding to the problems. So some of the elements, again, for a positive school culture is a culture where the stakeholders feel heard. So thinking about, well, what are those spaces and times where people are getting the space to share what they're noticing, to share their thoughts and opinions, to speak about what they are experiencing as a practitioner or maybe as a parent, as a student. Where does that exist? And if it exists, well, what do you do with that information? One piece of feedback that I have collected and I hold near and dear to my heart is make sure that you are listening, but you're also learning, right? And the learn is hearing and then creating the space where you can respond to the data that you are collecting. And that's some of the healthier attributes to a positive school culture, so that the individuals in it can see the problem, name the problem, and then start to strategize around, well, how are we going to address it? How are we going to create goals around whatever it is that we're addressing? How are we going to measure? And then celebrate our progress. So that's our positive school culture. Negative school culture, as it's been described and sometimes experienced, is when you have a space where just low achievement happens, right? We are not feeling confident in our capacity and ability to voice opinion. We're not thinking about answering really to problems. It's more or less a space where the stakeholders feel that it is compliant driven. Sometimes finger pointing happens, so there's a lack of accountability. Whereas for your positive school culture, the essence of seeing a problem, naming a problem, and then responding to the problem comes from a space of, this is something that's within my control. I feel accountable and empowered to change what I'm seeing. In your negative school culture, that same energy does not exist. It is more or less, well, because this happened, I'm unable to do this, and this person didn't tell me to respond to this, so I'm completely hands off, right? This, what I'm experiencing is it's void of anything that I've contributed to, and I'm just kind of here in it. So we talked about our positive, we talked about our negative. I invite you to share characteristics and even personal experience. What have you experienced in positive school cultures or negative school cultures? Our focus at Rejuvenate School Culture is to build the culture that allows for students to grow and to flourish, where learning and teaching can occur and be at the forefront of that school community. Again, please make sure that you click on the subscribe button. Please make sure that you are hitting that bell notification so that you're aware of new content as it's available. And I look forward to learning and growing with you. Be well.